Good morning, lovely people. How art thou today? It's Friday morning, and I'm sitting here in the parking lot of Quick Trip once again with a new breakfast item. Same thing I had last time, except for the hot dog is a what is it called? Something with cheese inside. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it has cheese inside of the hot dog, and then there's cheese outside of the hot dog, and there's chili and relish and mustard and ketchup, and my mouth is watering, so here we go. It's actually called a Chitter wurst. What I should have done was put it in the microwave for a little bit. It's not actually hot enough. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm going back inside, y'all, because I'm OCD like that. If I'm gonna eat something, I want it to be good. I want it to be hot. I want it to be fresh. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be on point. Otherwise, there's no point in eating it. You see, why waste calories on something that does not taste good to you? I'm going to take it back inside and microwave it, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. So I went in and nuked this for about 20 seconds. And I don't know if you can see the steam or not, but it is pretty steamy now. But yeah, like I was saying, there's no sense in wasting calories on something you don't enjoy. Now, let me just say this. I wouldn't recommend the average 45-year-old to be eating hot dogs with chili and cheese and all this shit for breakfast. Especially if you have high blood pressure or high cholesterol issues. Okay? I'm really doing the most this morning. I had some French toast, but I don't know why it is that I have cravings now for Quick Trip hot dogs. This is like my third day having a Quick Trip hot dog. Yesterday I had one. And then in my last video, I had one. But my husband is saying that racetrack hot dogs is where it's at. Anybody had a racetrack hot dog? They can vouch for that. Alright, I think I might have to dig in with a spoon because it's kind of hot, too hot to hold. Anyway, you know, I'm a fairly logical person, and when I have conversations with people, I like for them to interact with me in a logical way. Like if we're having a conversation, an intellectual conversation, I would like the responses that I get to be concrete and grounded in reality, and not in some fantasy or something that they believe to be true, which they have no evidence for. I say that because there's a video on YouTube. Well, there's some videos that I follow on YouTube. It's like murder mystery, sort of like reality. It's a reality thing, but it's almost like, you know, how what happened to the person, and how scientists and DNA, you know, discover how they trace back to the source of the who the murderer was and all that stuff. But, and I think we've had this conversation before, like, if you believe in God and something horrible happens to you, and you believe that God protects you and that God loves you and that you are a child of His and that you're covered in the blood and all this stuff, and you get brutally murdered, God has failed you. Okay? Your God has failed you. And I don't care what you want to say about free will, okay, because free will only seems to apply to people who are actually committing evil deeds. Free will, I mean, doesn't really, I don't hear people who are religious invoke free will when it comes to not wanting to be murdered or not wanting to be raped or not wanting your business or your house to be burned down. I don't see people invoking free will in that stuff, because you have the free will not to want that stuff done, but that or not to want that stuff to happen to you. But if it happens, then the only person who actually has free will is the person who is dishing out the evil or the hurt upon you. So if you believe that God is protecting you and something like that, something awful happens to you, then I would question my God and I would say, like, what the fuck am I believing in you for if you do absolutely nothing for me? Wearing a cross around your neck, praying, and all that stuff that you do, if it's not helping you, if you're sick, if you're terminally ill, and you're, or somebody you love or whatever is terminally ill, all the praying and kneeling and all that shit that you do, if it doesn't help instantly without the help of medical intervention, then your God is failing you. That's basically what I want to say. Because anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is that I was watching a story about a woman who was it was actually the Central Park Five. I don't know if y'all heard that story, but it was a lady in Central Park. I think it was sometime in the 90s. Where she got beaten and raped. And there were 5 teenage boys that were accused of it. That absolutely had nothing to do with it, in my opinion. And as the facts state, there was no DNA evidence or any of that. But the point is that there was an attorney that was on the show that was talking about this lady's recovery and how there must be a God because, it's a miracle that she survived. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is an attorney. This is somebody who, as the chunk of her career, like the whole essence of a career of an attorney is to use logic, reasoning, and evidence, right? But it seems like even people who are professional, like doctors, attorneys, anybody in the medical field that realizes that without their intervention, somebody will be dead, or without their intervention, somebody will be sentenced to a life, in prison for something they didn't do. Without investigation and due process and, physical evidence and forensic evidence, somebody's life can be, turned upside down by being convicted of something that they didn't do. This is somebody whose life's work revolves around being logical and rational and reasonable. And this woman is going to say that there must be a God because she survived being brutally beaten and raped. So her logic is that God did nothing to prevent her from being brutally beaten and raped. If she wasn't found when she was found, and if it had been just a few degrees colder, she probably would have died overnight. She was found, I think that somebody was walking by and they kind of saw someone laying somewhere. Somebody was walking by and happened to see her and realized it was, this beat up woman. If she hadn't been found by that person, she probably would have died. If she wasn't picked up by the ambulance and taken to the hospital and evaluated and treated and, whatever other medical intervention they had to do, she probably would have died, right? But because all of those things happened, she went to the hospital, she got well, she was nursed back to health, right? And now she might not have the physical scars, but she has the mental scars of being raped and beaten. You want to call that a miracle that she's alive because she survived that? And my comment was, would you rather your God prevent you from being beaten and raped? Or would you rather praise your God for not allowing you to be beaten, raped, and murdered, but actually living with the PTSD or with the psych issues behind being raped and beaten? Like, would you rather live as a whole woman, a whole unharmed woman? Or do you think it's more of a blessing to be existing as a beaten and raped and tortured woman, with flashbacks of the shit that happened to you? Like, where does God's goodness like play in that? Where's God's goodness in this? Because you people are fucking delusional that believe in something you can't see, you can't detect in any possible way. There's no way to detect it. This is just something that you believe without evidence. That's why religion is faith-based, because you have no evidence. You have no proof. There's no way you can prove it. Okay? I've never seen God's hand being reaching from the sky to stop a car accident. I've never seen God's hand reach, out of the sky to stop a child from being raped or molested or shot. I've never seen God's hand reach out of the sky and stop a bullet. Okay, y'all need to really wake the fuck up and stop with this God shit, really. I mean, I'm just so sick and tired of it. But anyway, so this person who calls himself Yah something Yahweh or something, he wants to argue with me about evil and free will and all this bullshit. And my thing is, your God is the creator of evil. He said it himself. He makes peace and he creates evil. That's what he says. His own words. Okay? I can't do this hot dog this morning. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't do it. Can't do it. Sorry. My body's like, not this morning. Not doing it. I did all that for nothing. Went in there, heated it up, all that stuff for nothing. But what I'm saying, guys, is to each his own. If you believe in God, or you believe that you have sufficient reason and evidence to believe in a God, then convince others of it. If you can demonstrate it and you can convince others of it, then by all means. Because us who have been there in religion, we ain't seen it. We have not seen it. I went to church, I gave my tithes, I prayed, I did all that stuff. I used to be, when I go back into my journal entries, all I can see is, oh, God bless this, God bless that. Oh, God. Oh, this. And I just cannot believe that I, was actually one of those people who thought that God had a hand in everything, when I really knew God had no hand in anything. When I really couldn't actually I just couldn't admit to myself that God didn't have anything to do with it. I just had to say that, because if I decided to go against that little thought in my head that said, God didn't do this, my mom did it, God didn't do this, my boss did it, God didn't cause me to get a raise, I bust my ass at work and they promoted me. That's what happens. I mean, it's cause and effect. It has nothing to do with God. If I didn't bust my ass at work, I wouldn't get a promotion, right? If I didn't need help, if I needed help and I didn't reach out and ask someone for help, I wouldn't get help. God knows everything that's going to happen, right? He knows that you're going to need help at some point. Why don't he just already have ducks lined up for you? Why you have to go out then and ask for help, or go get WIC and go get food stamps and go apply for this government program and go do this and that? Why aren't things just falling out of the sky for you? Why? Because that's just not the way the world works. Well, that's not the way God works either. God doesn't help you find your car keys. God doesn't help you pass your bar exam. Right? If you get into a car accident and the other person dies and you survive, God didn't protect you. I mean, are you more of a Christian than the next person? Are you more special than the person that died? I mean, really, you need to use logic. And hey, if you're a religious person and you're watching this and you're offended, I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck about your religion. I don't. I sleep like a baby at night. I don't pray to nobody. Right? I remain grateful for the things that I have, and I remain grateful for life, because I know that at any moment life can be taken from me. That this is the only life that we are aware of that exists, and that's what makes living this life more precious than anything, is that we don't know that anything else exists beyond what we know at this moment. And that's what makes life so grand and so beautiful, because I only have this moment, and this moment, and this moment, and this in this moment. Knowing that all of this is temporary, and in probably the next 50 years none of us will be here. All the people that are here now could very well be dead. 90% of the people on this planet now could be dead in 50 years. I mean, that kind of puts stuff into perspective. You need to be living your life, right? And these fucking crook pastors out here, a bunch of crooks, they're selling God to you. I guarantee you that's what they're doing. They're selling God, and God is the easiest money maker. You put God on anything, you put a cross on anything, you put God on anything, that's the easiest money maker. The easiest money maker. You tell somebody that they're protected from something, no matter what it is, that's a money maker, because people are superstitious and people want to believe that there's something outside of them that's more powerful, that's protecting them. They want to believe in something outside of themselves, some higher power that's greater than themselves. And there's nothing greater than me. I am God. I am goddess. I bring forth life, and I can take away life too. Right? Men and women come together, they create life, but I can decide whether that life is born or whether that life isn't born. That makes me God, right? Yeah, it does. You can decide whether generations live because they have to pass through your womb, right? No human being exists on earth that didn't come through a womb, including the guy that you guys believe in, JC, right? He came through a womb. That's what you believe. It's not true, but that's what you believe. So if Mary decided she didn't want to give birth, Jesus wouldn't have been here. And none of this religion, none of your religion would make any sense. None of it would even exist because there would have been no Jesus. Mary had the power. She could have went to some shaman or some witch somewhere in the mountains and got an abortion if she wanted to. But she, against her will, had to bring forth this savior of the world. If you guys really looked into Jesus, you would be shocked to realize that Jesus probably never existed. There's about some scholars say that Jesus did exist, and a lot of them say, actually a lot of scholars say, well, I would say half and half. Some say that he did exist, but there's no evidence of divinity. And some say he didn't exist, that there's no evidence that he existed. So, and even if he did exist, so what? You can't prove that he was divine just because he said that he was the Son of God. Did he actually say that? Or did he say he was the Son of Man? Or if you've seen him, you've seen the Father. Anybody could say that. He just made a claim. And you want to say, oh, well, he made miracles, he did miracles. Where's the proof? Can you prove it? Has anyone been able to prove that? We have prophets and apostles and all these guys here, all these people around the world, like Peter Popoff and Benny Hinn and all the rest of them, televangelist guys that they blow their hot breath on you and you fall over, or they blow their hot or swing their jackets in front of you and you get up out of the wheelchair. Come on now. Those are like modern day Jesuses. You believe any of that shit? And I can tell you that none of that stuff is real, because when my brother got into an accident, he's passed away now. When my brother got into an accident and my mother was so desperate for his healing, we all prayed and prayed and prayed. We had this guy that came to the hospital who was supposedly really blessed. This guy was a prayer warrior, and he would go through the ICU and pray for everyone, and people would just come out. It was like miraculous. This guy would pray and it would be miraculous. Like, people who had severe head injuries would just make this full recovery, and people who excuse me, who were predicted to die, by doctors, he would come in and pray, and God would mysteriously, through this guy, God would mysteriously heal these people. They would get up and walk out of ICU like Lazarus or something, right? So my mom went to one of these places, some what is it, convention, where it was a religious convention where you could come to get healed if you needed any sort of if you knew of anyone that needed any healing, or you yourself needed any personal healing, you could come in. And my mom went to one so that she could request healing for my brother. And there was a little girl, she said, she sat maybe about mid-row, My mom sat in the back about mid-row, and there was an actual little girl there with her parents that was sitting in a wheelchair. And her parents obviously brought her there for healing. And these jokers, these crooks, these liars already had it set up where there were people with ailments sitting in front rows and sitting in certain areas in the church. And they would call on these specific people who were in wheelchairs or whatever. And somebody would go get them and roll them up to the stage, and this crook would breathe on them or sprinkle holy water on them, and all of a sudden they would jump out of their chair. And my mother had her eye on this little girl who was legitimately injured or legitimately paralyzed, and not one of them called that child up to the stage to heal a child. They were healing all of these adults that had all these fucking issues, right? Putting hands on them, and then the adults would get up out the chair and run across the stage and do all that shit that you see on TV. But not one of them said, "Here, heal this child. Here's a child in a wheelchair. Heal this child." My mother says she got her ass up and left out of there feeling defeated, because she knew that shit was all a setup. All that stuff you see on TV is all a setup. All those people are pre-selected to come up on stage and to act a damn fool so that the rest of the sheep in the audience can give more and more and more money. That's what religion is. They're selling you a God that does not exist. They sell you a God that does not exist. Anything that has anything remotely religious on it is a hot seller. Bibles are free, but you can even sell a damn Bible because people are afraid not to pay $1 for a Bible. They feel like, oh, well, it's God's book. So, why wouldn't I pay $1,000 for it? It's God's book. I'm investing in my afterlife. I'm investing in my salvation. God is a hot seller, you guys. Okay, you've been had and you've been played, but it's up to you. It's up to you to realize that. But I said all that to say is that if you believe in a God, at least, gosh, make him more useful than, socks are more useful than God. When your feet are cold, you can put on socks. You can't pray for God to warm your feet. A boiled egg is more useful than God. If you're hungry, you can eat a boiled egg, right? But if you pray when you're hungry, that's not going to feed you. How many people over in Ethiopia were starving in the 80s and 90s? All of them Bible-believing, God-fearing people that was out there starving to death, watching their babies starve to death, right? While they were getting oatmeal and rice from these rich motherfuckers that was raising billions of dollars, in aid for them. But they were still just getting bowls of rice. No meat. No gravy. No potatoes and yams and all that shit. They were getting damn cream of wheat. Oats. Not even made with half and half. Not creamy. No cinnamon. No damn nutmeg to spice it up a little bit. No sugar. Just some damn oats mixed with water. With some rice. Some dry ass or wet rice. Right? And you had thousands and thousands and thousands of people dying, praying to God for a meal. While you had all these rich people out here raising up all this money, yet people still died. And all these Bible-believing Christians who all sat there starving to death were waiting on God to send manna from the sky. You people need to really realize that help comes from other human beings. When you need help, you pick up a phone and you call a friend or a family member and they come and help you, right? Or you pick up a phone and you call a organization or a charity that you can apply to and they can help you. When your tank is running on E, prayers can't fill your fucking gas tank up. Okay, somebody's gonna have to loan you a 20 so you can go and fill up your gas tank. Prayers don't do shit but make you feel like you're doing something. You're not doing nothing. You're speaking to air. Just like I'm speaking to this camera. Well, I'm actually speaking to y'all, but prayers, you're just speaking into the air. You're doing nothing. And if you believe that God does everything, that everything is ordered by Him, that God knows your life from A to Z, right? Then there's no reason for you to be praying, because everything that's happening to you is what God wanted to happen to you. He knew it was going to happen to you. He allowed it to happen to you. Stop asking Him to reverse the shit that He wanted to happen to you. That's just stupid. I mean, how logical is that? He allows it to happen, but then you're going to pray and ask Him to change His mind? He allows it to happen, but then He allows doctors to go in and change what He allowed to happen. Right? You realize you have a brain tumor. You go to the doctor, they tell you have a brain tumor. That's God's will for you. What do doctors do? They reverse God's will for you. They go into your skull, they remove the tumor, you live long. If you had stayed on track with God's will, you'd just be dying prematurely and you'd just be dead. I don't understand. Like, and then you say, well, you're not supposed to lean on your own understanding. You're not supposed to understand. You are supposed to understand. You should understand so you can explain it to other people who don't understand. If you got your religion down packed and you know God and you speak to God and God speaks to you and all this, you should have all the answers. You need to be speaking to scientists, because scientists are out there, studying the universe, studying the origins of the universe. And they have yet to buck up on a God. I mean, when is God going to actually, be semi-detectable, where you can even detect that one? I mean, completely undetectable. Doesn't interact with the world in any detectable way at all. At all. Wake up. Wake up. It's going to take some time for some people. Some people are just going to die in their ignorance. I would just say what's helped me along my journey to discovering truth, because I'm a truth seeker. I've always been a truth seeker. Even when I was religious, I've always wanted to know the truth about what I believe in, where it originated, if the people in the Bible were actually real people, where the stories in the Bible originated from, right? And there's a show on a documentary on YouTube called the Christian Dilemma. I would like for all you Christians, to watch that show, The Christian Dilemma. The Christian Dilemma on YouTube. I think it's a 5-part series. Extremely, extremely informative. It's a documentary, and it talks about the historicity of Christianity, of Jesus, of Mary, and everything. And it's a complete eye-opener. And also Zeitgeist. You need to watch Zeitgeist as well, because you need to see the similarities in ancient Egyptian and ancient sun worship practices and ancient Egyptian and Sumerian history and stuff like that to understand the origins of Christianity. You know, Christianity is basically plagiarism. Jesus was plagiarized and whitewashed. The cross was stolen from ancient Egyptians. The Ankh was the original cross. These right here, the symbol of life, male and female. Right here is the vagina. Right here is the penis. There's also a key, the key to life. Okay. Y'all gotta wake up. Because nobody's coming back to help you. Jesus ain't coming back. God ain't coming back. We're not living in the last days. We're destroying our planet. The evil people who run this planet are destroying this planet, and they're going to destroy people. And they might destroy themselves in the process, but they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. And you people who believe in a God, your God is sitting by watching all this shit unfold and doing nothing about it. And he ain't gonna do nothing about it because he can't do nothing about it because he don't exist. He ain't doing nothing about it. Innocent children are being blown up in the Ukraine. Cats, dogs, animals, elderly, newborns, pregnant women, dying, being slaughtered, being displaced. Did you see the video of them all standing around? I think it was like in some kind of underground train tunnel or something. They were all underground praying to God. For what? The war is happening above your heads. What the fuck are you praying for? You were praying for it not to happen. Now it's here, and you're praying for it to what? To end faster? What are you praying for? It ain't working. It ain't working. I mean, what? God knows already what you need. He knows already. He ain't giving you what you need. He's not giving you what you want. He's not giving you what you pray for. He's doing what the fuck he want to do, which is blow up your country, displace you, kill your kids. That's what he wants to do. He did it all through the Old Testament. Savage murder. That's what he does best, is murder. That's what he done all through. In every book, in every Abrahamic religion, God was the biggest murderer in the history of murder, God is the biggest murderer. But everybody is here like talking about Satan, when God is the one orchestrating everything. He created evil. He said it already. What was it? I forgot what it is. Psalms something. No, is it Psalms? I gotta go back and look. But he said it. I make peace and I create evil. I create it. So why should he give a shit about your war? And about your kids dying and getting blown to smithereens in war? Why should he care? The Passover was about him killing everybody's firstborn child. If you had blood on the top of your door, if you had blood on the top of your door, that was a sign to go inside your house and murder your firstborn. God orchestrated that. Why does he give a shit about kids in Ukraine? Why does he care about y'all? You're nothing to him. Nothing. Religion is a construct. Religion is 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 bondage. It's spiritual, it's mental bondage. It's to keep you subservient, it's to keep you dumbed down, it's to keep you tamed, and and not thinking for yourself. It's to keep you hating other folks for not believing in what you believe in, right? Most of you people who are religious, y'all not happy. You're not really living your life. You're not happy. You're living for this God that you think, you have these ideas of what you think this God wants out of you. You're not doing anything in your life that you really enjoy. Some of y'all want to have sex. You want to drink. You want to do some drugs. I'm not advocating for this, but you want to have sex. There's some of you women out there that you only had one, you only had one partner in your life, and he ain't satisfying you. But because you're under this marriage covenant, God knew you were gonna. Why would God marry you? Why would God approve a union between you and a man, and you call it blessed, and you call it, something that God wants, knowing that the man is not satisfying you in bed? He knew you weren't happy sexually, but now you're stuck with this guy who you're not enjoying sex with him, right? You got to sleep with this guy for the rest of your life. Come on, man. You're not happy with him. He's beating your ass. He's controlling. And you think that this is a God ordained relationship. You're not happy. You never been nowhere, never experienced anything. You haven't partied, you don't go anywhere because you think that that's, of Satan. To go out and enjoy yourself is of Satan. It's immoral to want to have sex and want to have good sex. That's immoral. It's immoral to want to have fun. It's immoral to want to drink some beer and get fucked up sometimes, smoke some weed. That's immoral. Wow. Oh my God. Marijuana grew out of the earth, right? Isn't that what they say? Marijuana is a herb. It grows out of the earth. It's natural. They even turned it into a pharmaceutical drug to help with people who don't have an appetite due to cancer and whatever other, disease that they have. Yeah, you get weed pills, or you can get medical marijuana for glaucoma and, other things, right? Oh, it's not a sin when the doctor prescribes it for you, but it's a sin when you go to the man and get you a dime bag. Come on, man. Y'all are tripping. Anyway, I'm getting off my high horse now. I said what I had to say. I wouldn't say high horse. I would say I'll get off my what is it? My tin box, or whatever the hell you call it. The soapbox. The soapbox. Yeah, I'll get off my soapbox. Because I got places to go. Let's see, what time is it? 9:40. Let's see. I think what I will do yeah, guys, so just if you believe in God, research your religion, research the origins of your religion. Don't be afraid to do that, because you might find that everything that you thought your religion was a lie. Everything you believed was a lie. You know, if you want to live in ignorance and you want to, you know, keep believing and it makes you feel good to believe in something that may not be true, by all means. But if you believe in truth and you want to know that what you believe is the truth, then if it's the truth, it circles right back around, and you can be confident in yourself that what you believe is the actual truth. But if you're afraid to go and research it for fear that you might find something that you know is kind of like out of line with what you believe in, that's a problem. And I guarantee you that when you go research